Would Mr. Delgado or Ms. Walter like to add anything at this time?
I didn't have time to write down every question, but I would be more than happy to talk to everyone. I'm free after this hearing and more than happy to meet with everyone to address their questions. A couple of the specifics I did recall is the proposal does take into consideration the homeless liaisons. They're actually our frontline partners. We don't actually distribute anything to homeless kids directly because of legal and confidentiality reasons. So that's why we have MOUs with all of these, well, basically every school district and county office of education in California. In regards to, I think there was another question about a match, or what was the other one?
Yeah, it was about the match. There was also the question about what $25.20.
Right. So in regards to the match, that was, not to put anyone on the spot, but after meeting with several different branches of state government, there was a bit of a consensus that it would be good if it was not a sole-sourced program, and that if nonprofits were actually contributing something to it as well. So that's where the match came from. Previous proposals have had a match encouraged, but we sort of took their advice, as you do in the context of negotiations with different agencies. And in terms of philanthropy, again, we've knocked on pretty much every door you can for something like this in areas that do have corporations present in California and areas that don't. As have, I might add, all the liaisons that we're partnered with. And they have their own unique efforts, only 2 or 3 of which that we know are pretty successful. For example, in Orange County, their what they call Department County of Education has a program every August where they have a partnership between the county office and Feed the Children and others. And they flyer at pretty much every motel and shelter that they can within the Anaheim region. And we went last year and we donate to it. It's a very good, hard-working program with great, hard-working people. The line from their youth center stretched so many blocks far, and one of their workers went to the middle of the line and said, after this, there's nothing for your families, your children, et cetera. We're going to run out of resources. And people kept lining up. And that's simply because there's no alternative. And just to sort of acknowledge because I do like talking to everyone, the elephant in the room here, is if there were a question to provide a job and housing and stability to a family, or address their basic material needs, and those were the 2 options, obviously we would take the former. I mean, I'm from a family of social workers. I understand it. But what we're looking at now is a way to leverage the great investment of homeless liaisons already going through the work of addressing what are the unmet needs of homeless kids in our public schools, and actually utilizing what they're already doing and what is a great investment. The United States McKinney-Vento Homeless Assistance Act is an identification law. Aside from a small $6 million state subgrant to employ those liaisons, which not every district receives, there isn't any funding mechanism to do this. If there were, they wouldn't be asking for us to help them. And so those are some of the challenges. We don't disagree with any of the other things that the other advocates are working for here. It's all good things, and there's not a bad program I've heard presented in this committee. But that's what we're trying to do.
Thank you. Appreciate your comments. This is an ongoing discussion. We're going to hold this proposal open, but appreciate the information shared with the committee today, and thank you to the members who made public comment as well, members of the public who made public comment. So with that, we're going to go to our next item, issue number 2, One California proposal coordinating citizenship and immigration assistance. We have with us Assembly Members Chu and Alejo. Thank you both for being here. Whenever you're ready.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. And members of this subcommittee, I want to thank you for allowing me to address you today. On behalf of the 22 members of the Latino Legislative Caucus, I'm here to urge the committee to appropriate $20 million to build and approve upon the state's past efforts to integrate immigrant communities and residents. Specifically, the One California proposal will allow resources to qualified nonprofit and legal service organizations to provide outreach education, application assistance to lawful permanent residents eligible for citizenship, and undocumented immigrants eligible for deportation relief. Today, there are 2.5 million lawful permanent residents in California that are eligible for citizenship. And to put this into context, we have the equivalent of 5 assembly districts of residents that cannot fully participate in civic life of this state because of administrative, financial, or other barriers. In addition, up to 1.5 million residents are eligible for deportation relief under DAPA or DACA, but like the process for naturalization, the financial, language, and administrative barriers will be hard for most who are eligible for this type of relief. We are better than that. California is better than that. But with over 10 million immigrants and the largest population of immigrants eligible for administrative relief and naturalization in the country, California has a unique opportunity to lift families out of poverty and increase their financial security. In fact, according to the President's Council on Economic Advisors, DACA and DAPA could boost California's GDP by up to $27.5 billion over the next 10 years. At the same time, because naturalization increases earnings of new citizens by 11 to 14%, California could see 4.6 to 5.8 billion aggregate increase in immigrants' income from naturalization. But why should the state fund these efforts? Because absent state funding, unscrupulous notarios will take advantage of these communities. This is especially true in the Central Valley, where the lack of service providers, poverty, and language barriers make largely Latino populations prime targets for notarios. But also, we are California, a state that with a proud and long history of leading the nation, and in the context of negative and vitriolic atmosphere in Congress around immigration, the One California proposal will stand as a shining example of what can be accomplished when we work together. In closing, Mr. Chairman, I serve as the chair of the Latino Caucus. I'm proud to stand in solidarity with the API Caucus in supporting this important proposal. I respectfully ask for your support when this comes back to a vote.
Thank you, Assemblymember Alejo. Assemblymember Chu?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I am pleased to be able to join Mr. Alejo. Today, I am wearing my hat as the policy chair of the California API Legislative Caucus. We have also decided to prioritize this particular budget proposal and am glad that our two caucuses are working together to move this forward. A couple things I'd like to add in addition to what Mr. Alejo has already laid out. This is something that hopefully every legislator should be able to want to support, because we know that when immigrants move through the naturalization process, that increases their earnings. We have found that recipients of DACA, 59% of them have obtained new jobs, 49% have opened up their first bank accounts, 21% are able to obtain health care, 45% have seen an increase in their job earnings. And while $20 million will not reach everyone who's eligible, this is an important and a great start for our communities. I also want to take a moment and describe some of the positive impacts within the API community. We know that Asian immigrants have not applied for naturalization programs at the same rates as other immigrant communities, largely due to language barriers and the fact that there is tremendous language diversity within our API communities. We know that Chinese youth have applied at very low rates, despite their estimates of being able to significantly benefit from DACA. And similarly, only 16% of potentially eligible Filipino young people have applied for DACA. One community-based organization in my district, Chinese for Affirmative Action, has reported that there have been citizens who've been seeking citizenship who have paid so-called notario consultants for applications that were actually free on the internet. Now in California, there are close to 500,000 Asian American immigrants who are eligible to naturalize. So this is a lot of folks, but the approach of this very smart proposal allows for a regional approach with trusted community-based organizations that help to really address the diversity of our communities. Very much ask for the support of this community, as does the rest of the API caucus.
Thank you, Assemblymember Chu. Let's go to Ms. De Silva.
Thank you. Good afternoon, Mr. Chair and members of the committee. My name is Gina De Silva with the California Immigrant Policy Center. You know, when these programs do roll out and are implemented, we're talking about an additional 1.2 million immigrants who are going to be eligible for deferred action, and that's in addition to the 2.8 million that are eligible for deferred action now or for citizenship. You know, the implications for California are enormous. If we invest correctly, the gains will be significant. If we don't, the losses are going to be severe. The One California proposal has actually evolved from years of advocacy advocacy around naturalization, the lessons learned from the 2012 DACA program, the lessons learned from AB 60 driver's license implementation, and it really builds and improves on the state's past efforts with regards to the funding for unaccompanied minors and also the naturalization services program. Since 2012, legal service providers have really been struggling to meet the need. Many are even in questioning if they're going to be able to offer services to the new DAPA eligible applicants. We're talking about a ratio of undocumented immigrants to providers of 22,973 to 1. Without qualified affordable alternatives, immigrants are going to be vulnerable to bad actors like notarios who prey on communities with false promises. We really have to support the capacity of these trusted organizations that speak the immigrants' language, that are in their communities, to support them through this process. Otherwise, we're going to continue to see families at the risk of deportation. Most importantly, I think linguistically and culturally appropriate outreach will also deter the reach of the notarios and address barriers that have disproportionately affected the Asian Pacific Islander community. There's a stigma attached to being undocumented in that community, and the language barriers further complicate that challenge. When you're serving populations that speak 3 or more languages, the needs for translation and the support is really severely challenges the capacity. So this $20 million investment is seeking to target specific barriers and complement the hard work of the community groups who are struggling to fill a gap because of the lack of federal funding attached to these programs. This investment also fills a gap by combating poverty in a community that often doesn't qualify for anti-poverty proposals or any economic support due to their immigration status. When 1 in 5 children in California have a parent who's eligible for deferred action, the security of knowing that their mom or their dad, that their head of household is safe from deportation, that can leave home without that fear, that is the strongest anti-poverty measure and protection of families. We can't ignore the systematic barriers that immigrants face, and we should not ignore the state's role and economic benefits of investing in the protection and the economic mobility of all of our residents. You know, the California that we have right now, this current landscape and composition, is the roadmap to our future. With baby boomers retiring, immigrant workers are going to be a greater portion of our labor force. The deportation machine is going to continue and the enforcement strategies will change. The question before the subcommittee is whether our Golden State is going to make the cost-effective strategy and invest in the shared prosperity of all of our residents by supporting immigrants through One California. I really appreciate this opportunity to speak and share this proposal, and on behalf of CIAPC, our coalition partners, and the over 140 organizations that signed on to this letter, urge your support for this proposal. Thank you.
Thank you. Department of Social Services.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Pete Chervinka again with the department. As largely I stated with the last proposal, the administration doesn't have a position on this one. We're very grateful to have been approached. We've had a couple conversations, including a very robust conversation this morning with the sponsors here. Ultimately, again, it will be a choice of budget and policy priorities.
Thank you. Department of Finance. Elio.
Thank you. Similar to the last proposal, no official position here from the Legislative Analyst's Office. We have met with the proponents and continue to learn more about the proposal and are happy to assist you with anything you need going forward.
Thank you. Any questions from committee members or comments? I just want to take an opportunity to thank Assembly Members Alejo and Chu for your tremendous leadership on this, and in addition, your partnership and collaboration working together. Also, with the hat that you wear representing the Latino Legislative Caucus and the API Legislative Caucus, and the combined effort of both caucuses working together on this very important issue. I just want to appreciate that. And also state that as someone who was born in the Philippines and as the son of an immigrant from the Philippines, I really appreciate the support that you're providing through this proposal for our immigrant communities in California. It's very thoughtful, and I think it'll be extremely effective, and hope that we can move it through this committee. Today we're not voting, but we are discussing the issue, and so at this point we're going to go to public comment.
Hi. My name is Leima Murtaza. I'm here on behalf of Asian Americans Advancing Justice Sacramento. I represent both the LA office and the San Francisco office. We understand that our communities are in strong need of these type of support and resources, so we strongly support the need for this budget, and hopefully that you will too.
Sylvia Solisha on behalf of City of Los Angeles Mayor Eric Garcetti. As Ms. De Silva mentioned, there will be nearly 4 million Californians who are eligible for either naturalization or deferred action. Nearly a third of these individuals live in the city of Los Angeles. So we actively support restoring and expanding this funding. We believe it will make a positive cultural and economic impact in the city and statewide. Thank you.
Good afternoon, Sandra Palacios with the California Catholic Conference. As you know, the Catholic Church has a very long history of welcoming and helping immigrants in the state and in the nation. This funding would signify a real investment in our communities and would not only strengthen our state, but also benefit our entire nation. So we urge your support of the One California proposal. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Daniela Tena Perez. I am representing Ultimate Health Services. We serve the areas of Los Angeles and Orange County, and we strongly support the One California proposal. I'm here today to express that given the already given points, we additionally really support this proposal because it would increase access to health care for DACA and DAPA recipients. We really urge you for your support. Thank you.
Good afternoon, members. I'm Santosh Siram Santana, representing the California Asian and Pacific Islander Budget Partnership, and we are in strong support of the One California proposal. Thank you.
Jeanette Sanipatin, legislative attorney with the Mexican American Legal Defense and Educational Fund, also here in strong support of the proposal. My other hat is as an immigration attorney, so I don't want to lose sight of the fact that this is really a historic moment in terms of the number of people that can actually apply for immigration relief. I've practiced immigration law for over 20 years, and I can tell you how big and huge this change is going to be and how transformative it's going to be for the lives of immigrants throughout all of our nation, but especially here in California, given that we have been leaders on immigration policy at the state level and have really looked to developing policies that integrate immigrants. And I think this is really a critical moment, not only because of the historic moment that we have, but also the historic opportunity that we have to really lift people out of poverty and, like I said, make that transformative change.
Thank you. Rita Medina with Coalition for Humane Immigrant Rights of Los Angeles, CHIRLA, here today in support of this as well for all the reasons mentioned prior, but mostly because we're an organization that while we're based in Los Angeles, we really have a statewide presence, and we have seen in our legal department over 100,000 people in terms of touching them and educating them on the DACA program that's already in existence, about 10,000 applications. And even with that successful number, we have people who are still waiting pretty long waits to get in for filing for the first time, for renewals, and taking all that into consideration, we also have folks who live in counties that aren't well stocked with organizations like Los Angeles is. They don't have the resources. So everywhere from Riverside and San Bernardino and the Central Valley coming to CHIRLA as a respected and known place and asking for these services. We believe that this proposal will increase our ability to be out in the community and, as people have mentioned before, really cut down on the numbers of people falling prey to notario fraud. And that's something that we take very seriously as well. We're excited. This is a moment for integration. And there are so many roadblocks that immigrants face in terms of integrating into our society. And this is just one more way for us to remove one of those roadblocks and move forward as the Golden State that supports immigration. Thanks so much.
Good afternoon, members. Lisa Rodriguez with the Guaca Group on behalf of Catholic Charities in support. I want to just thank everyone for all their hard work, and I would like to echo everyone's statements and support. Thank you.
Good afternoon. Noé Paramo representing California Rural Legal Assistance Foundation. CRLA has naturalized more than 30,000 citizens in the Central Valley and also helped applicants with the deferred action services, and the need is tremendous. We have issues in the Central Valley of geographic isolation, high poverty, high unemployment, and now the drought. And so this would provide a ladder out for many undocumented farm workers and also for naturalized individuals to really reap the benefits that they're entitled to. So your support's appreciated. Thank you.
Good afternoon. My name is Priya Murthy, and I'm with Services Immigrant Rights and Education Network, or SIREN, in San Jose. We provide immigration legal services and conduct outreach to the immigrant community in Santa Clara County across the state and locally, we have to rise to a challenge in terms of reaching the number of community members who would be eligible for DACA and DAPA, as well as for naturalization. For example, in our county, in Santa Clara County, we're home to the largest DACA and DACA eligible population in Northern California, and the Bay Area is the home for the second largest population of those eligible for naturalization. From our experience, the barriers that we anticipate for community members include reaching a population of the size and scope and diversity that exists in Santa Clara County, the expected length and complicated nature of the applications that we anticipate, and the expected documents that individuals will have to use to show that they are eligible for these forms of relief. Trusted nonprofit organizations like ours that provide quality legal services are poised to guide individuals through this process, which will benefit the whole state. But what we need is the state's investment to rise to this challenge, which is why we strongly support this measure. Thank you.
Sean South on behalf of the California Primary Care Association. We're very excited about this funding and the ability to facilitate the American dream for our patients, many of whom fall in this category. And I would say that it's about time that we take this step, and I'm glad that it's being considered today. Thank you.
Good afternoon. My name is Famse Turn, and I was actually born in Thailand in a refugee camp and came to the U.S. when I was 2 years old. My parents were given the opportunity to become citizens, and so I too became a citizen as a young child. And now as an adult, when I go travel overseas, I know that many people take a look at my passport, because obviously I'm Asian, but you know, my passport says I'm from the U.S., and oh, you must be able to travel all over the world for free, you know, so they realize, you know, the freedom that we have as citizens here in the U.S. And I think I want to thank you guys all for being here and for listening to everyone's comments, and just for giving this community of, you know, undocumented individuals the opportunity to make California their home.
Hi, my name is Lynn, and I'm with the Southeast Asia Resource Action Center. And Fam neglected to mention that she's also worked a lot with the community in Sacramento in terms of making sure that folks have access to these services. And I think what CIRAC notices is the fact that a lot of our partners on the ground recognize time and time again the need for language access, because we're not talking just about the language barrier in terms of Vietnamese to English. We're talking about the barriers in terms of legal language and translating that in an accessible way. And if you're someone who's an immigrant, that's incredibly difficult. So I do just want to affirm our support for this.
Good afternoon. My name is Mickey Solorio Luna. I'm the immediate past National Vice President of the League of United Latin American Citizens, LULAC, also the former state chair for the Chicano Latino Caucus of the California Democratic Party. Currently, city council member for the city of Hollister. But I stand here before you because I've worked the community for over 40 years. Within the Latino community, I know the needs. I know about the DACA students, about parents, and the need for this allocation and this proposal to go through, because it will surely be indeed a huge, huge investment for California, who actually leads the way in many, many ways throughout the nation. So I would urge everyone to consider that and how important it is for our state to take a lead again in doing what is right for the community. Thank you.
Thank you. We'll bring comments back to the panel. Assemblymember Chu, Assemblymember Alejo, if you have additional comments or your witnesses or closing remarks.
Just a couple closing remarks. First of all, I want to thank all the members of the community that came out today, really reflecting the diversity of our community leaders working with our recent immigrants. As a former immigrant rights attorney, I know that these are organizations that do a tremendous amount of work for very little, and they are strapped. But that being said, we have a unique time at this moment for us to hopefully move forward millions of Californians through the citizenship process. So I very much hope through this process process, we'll be able to move forward with this budget proposal. I do want to note it was only a few years ago that we spent $10 million a year as a state to do these sorts of programs, and it was during the Great Recession that was eliminated. So what we're asking for is to really bring back that program and expand it, at least temporarily, for us to adjust with the millions of Californians that are seeking immigration relief.
Great, thank you.
And just to close, this was always been an important item for the Latino caucus. In fact, it was Senator Richard Polanco who authored the legislation that created this program back in 2000, and it was funded year after year up until 2008 when the recession hit, as my colleague just expressed, where it got zero funding. It's been that way year after year. So we look forward to working with the administration, and certainly we've circled in with our chair of our budget committee, Assemblymember Weber, and our leadership, because we're trying to find a right proposal. You know, a lot of advocates were asking for a lot more. We came with the middle ground, so we think it's a reasonable amount, but this is so important at a most critical time for California, and we ask that when this comes back to a vote, to allow this issue to move through and be included in the budget. Thank you very much.
Thank you, gentlemen, and I would appreciate any communications that you want to provide my office or any of the other members of the committee. You know, please provide directly to us. That'd be great.
Appreciate it. Thank you very much.
Mr. Chu, we've got several bills on call that we need your votes on. If we can, and then I think we have some add-on votes for you as well. Sure. So what I'd like to do is just do the on-call votes first, and then you can just add on with the secretary. Is that on the ones that are already out? So on issue number 1.
Aye.
Okay. Aye. Chu Ai has 3.
Issue number 7.
Aye.
Okay. Chu Ai has 3.
Is that it? Oh, I'm sorry. Oh, a couple more. Issue number 10.
Aye.
Chu Ai has 3.
Number 11.
Aye.
Chu Ai has 3.
And you may have been told issue number 12 was pulled for today. Issue number 13.
Aye.
Chu Ai has 3.
Number 14.
Aye.
Chu Ai has 3.
Number 15.
Aye.
Chu Ai has 3.
And then items to be heard, issue number 1 under 4185. Realignment. I'm sorry. It should be 5180, issue number 1, TBL 605. Realignment technical cleanup.
Aye.
Chu Ai has 3.
Yeah. He can gavel down. For the for the witnesses and panel, this concludes public comment and member comments, and we'll be adjourning shortly. Thank you.
All right, Senator Leno.
Wait.
Oh, I'm